Ladies and gentlemen, this is Joe's Classic Video Games back with another cool pinball repair video for you today. We have been working on this Captain Fantastic and the Brown Dirt Cowboy. Not the Dirt Brown Cowboy, the Brown Dirt Cowboy for quite a while now. We've been filming videos on it. So if you haven't seen those, go check it out. But what we did was we did one video showing the shape that it was in after all these years, whenever we got it in. It's 2021 right now, and this thing was built, I believe, in 1977. We did a video on that. We did a video kind of working inside of it, and another one under the playfield and working on the chimes and some stuff like that. And we are now up to the back box. We showed off this fantastic, pun fully intended, back glass on the first video, but we're going to look behind it and work in the back box a little bit. And see if we can get this thing a little farther along. We've been having a problem the entire time where it doesn't start. So we, whenever we got it in, we plugged it in just to see what the customer was experiencing. Basically, when you hit start, everything resets and then goes to game over. Very sad, right? And we've cleaned everything in the bottom. We cleaned everything on the bottom of the playfield too. Rebuilt all the stepper units down there, did all that stuff, but no matter what we do, it won't get any better. So we are now up to the back box, and maybe we'll find the problem in there, but if not, we'll have to snipe it and figure out exactly what it is by looking at the schematics. We're trying to just accidentally find it by cleaning everything, because I'm trying to get a better understanding of what the customer goes through and the viewer if they're not a seasoned pinball repair tech. Look at this. Look at this crap. Look at that. We don't need that kind of stuff going on, people. What are you doing to me? So what I'm trying to do is see if it's possible to accidentally find what the problem is by just cleaning everything. We haven't yet, right? But by cleaning everything, we'll have a solid foundation where we know everything's clean and that's not a problem. So we can find the specific switch in the schematics that's causing the issue. But the first thing I'm going to do, we're going to slide this out from the wall a little bit, and then we'll look in the back box and start working through all of that stuff. That's always my, I hate to say it right here at the beginning of the video, but that's my least favorite thing to do. I hate cleaning all the score reels. It gets really old. There's 16 of them. They couldn't have done 15. I mean, just 15 would have been better, but no, it's 16. All right, so let's look in the back box, and we'll get the cleaning. This is what we're starting with. Like we noticed before, there's a little C-clip here, a little hairpin clip. We need to figure out where that goes. But, with the exception of that, everything looks pretty good. It's very similar to all of the other Bally EMs we've done lately. As a matter of fact, it's identical to several of them. So, we did a Knight Rider that is basically just like this. I think you could just take this head off and stick it on the Knight Rider and it would work. Everything seems to be in exactly the same spot. By this time, they were just building them all at one time, and the parts were interchangeable. I guess the paint is different, obviously, but everything seems to be lined up in the same spot. So we have a 10-point relay, 100-point relay, 1,000-point relay, reset relay number, score reset relay number 1, score reset relay number 2. The 400,000-point relays, because if you get 99,990 points, it rolls over to 0. So whenever you do get 100,000, it lights up a little light on the front with those relays there. Okay, we've got the knocker, which is still knocking beautifully, it sounds like. Jones plugs that plug the bottom mech board into the top. Got 16 score reels. The nice Bally designs that seem to be pretty reliable. A couple jumper plugs to change settings, like 3-ball to 5-ball, and match on and off, and if the special gives you a free game or a free ball. The credit unit, we noticed on the first video that they have removed the wire that makes the credit unit subtract, so it can never go down, it only goes up. That's one way to make it free play. You just remove that wire and it can never take off a credit, so it'll always have credits on it. And then the player up unit. So This is basically used to change the scores around. We've got something in here. Yeah, see, look, it's not working right. We've got something in here, or in the bottom, that is making it where it doesn't, where it resets the game over. So, the only thing I can imagine in the back box that could possibly do that is maybe this. But we'll see. I think it's going to be something down on the score motor down at the bottom or something. So whenever you hit start, it starts up and immediately goes to game over. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is I'm going to clean these relays. Just clean the switches on them and get them out of the way. Basically, whenever they pull in on the reset relay, it's connecting 4 different switches on the front, and there's 4 more behind it, 8 switches, to reset some of the score reels, and that'll keep going in, and these will turn if they're not on 0. Once they get to 0, it opens up a switch to where this will still keep pulling in, but the power will no longer get to the coil, and so it will stop at 0 because the switch opens up and the power no longer can make it turn. Okay, so one of them does 8 of them, and the other one does another 8 of them. And that's how it resets all that. Now, when it gets back to 0, there's one switch on each reel that opens up so that it can no longer, the reset relay can no longer make it turn once it gets to 0. And then there is another switch on each score reel that opens up that is holding power into the reset relay down in the bottom of the game. So whenever it gets to 0, it stops and that switch is open, which means that power can no longer go through that switch and hold the reset relay down on the bottom of the game. And the score motor's still turning and still turning and still turning because this one isn't at 0 yet and the switch is still holding the reset relay on. And eventually it gets to where all of these are open. They're all back to 0 and all of the switches are open. And so the reset relay is no longer being held on by any of the score reels. But they will hold it on until all of them are back at 0. Because if this one's still at 5 or whatever, the switch is still closed, so it's holding the reset relay on, which is still making these go click, 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 click. Eventually they all get back to 0, and they're no longer holding the reset relay on. So then what does the reset relay do? Because the score reels are no longer holding it on. Well, it depends on if anything else is holding it on. It could be that the bonus unit is still holding it on, because it has to reset the bonus unit. Maybe the bonus unit's still at 7,000, and so it's trying to get it back down to 1,000 or 0, wherever it's supposed to be. And so maybe the reset relay will continue to run because the bonus unit is still holding it on. So what happens when the bonus unit gets all the way down to 0? There's a switch that opens, and the bonus unit is no longer holding the reset relay on. So maybe the reset relay turns off, or maybe something else is holding it on. Like, for instance, this player up unit has to get back to 0. So if it's at 3, the third position or whatever, maybe it's still holding the reset relay on. Who knows? Right? And maybe the ball count unit has to get back to 0. So there's different switches on different things that hold the reset. So the reset relay is turned on and it starts trying to reset all kinds of crap. All of those things it's trying to reset will provide power to the reset relay until they get reset. So once everything's reset, the reset relay closes, turns off, which makes something else turn on and makes the ball pop out and the game starts. So it's just a cool setup. So where were we? I think the first thing I'll do is I'll clean all of these relays by just cleaning the switches. And what we use is just an old file that's not very abrasive to get up in between the contacts and get them more shiny. Basically, they get all black and dirty so that the power can no longer conduct through them. So we're just trying to get them nice and clean again. So we'll do these relays first, and we'll do those 4, and then that will be all the relays in the back box, and then we can move on to score reels and other things. Okay, we cleaned all of the switches, and on to the next thing. I didn't see anything really wrong with any of them. They all looked like they were touching, but maybe they weren't conducting. But the contacts are all clean now. I think what we'll do next is these Jones plugs have never actually been cleaned. We did clean the ones where the playfield plugs into the we'll do something about the back glass too. Where the playfield plugs into the bottom, but we didn't clean these yet. Check it out. That one that's dark, I wonder what that goes to. We have a new product. Our buddy Greg sent us this. I don't know if this is right side up or if this is right side up. But they're Japanese, it's called like Saturo or something like that. It's like a sponge that's like a rock. It's kind of like sandpaper that you use to clean knives with. And so one of our viewers, Greg, sent me these and said, hey, these would be good for Jones plugs. And so I tried it. And I'll be damned if they're not pretty good for Jones plugs. So it cleans them up pretty good. Look how much cleaner. Look how nice. Of course, Matt showed up right after I got all the work done. Thanks, Matt. Amateurs. All right, so this is what we were cleaning with. Look, we did that the other day. Look at that. That's pretty good. The rest of it, it looked like that. Like, see this? Well, that's dirt. You see a little bit of rust in there, right? Watch this. This is going to be magical, people. Are you ready? You just saw it happen. This is a miracle product. I believe it's made out of volcano rock. It's from Japan. It's made in Japan. And it's not made in China with a Japanese sticker on it. This is legit made in Japan. We have a link to this on our website. Go check it out. lionsarcade.com. You can buy this stuff on Amazon. So there's a link on there to it on Amazon. Our buddy Greg sent it to us. It gets our seal of approval. Works great. And so we put it up on our website. So if you go and click the link and go to Amazon and buy anything on Amazon, like a Captain American pinball, Captain Fantastic pinball machine, it gives us 3% of about anything you buy. So I appreciate that. But he's correct. It works pretty good on Jones plugs. So it's cleaned it right up. And now we're ready to put them back in there. That's done. Oh, you got to clean the inside of these too. So the inside of these you can clean with a bore brush. It's a 17 caliber bore brush. Don't tell them what I'm talking about. I'm talking about a, what's the word for it? It's a brush that cleans a magic dog. It barks over here, bites over there, one of those. Or a cordless hole puncher. You know what I'm talking about, right? I'm not allowed to say it on YouTube. Okay, so we'll put those back in. Oh, we have links to those little brushes too on our website. Basically, you need to get down in there to clean both sides of that little thing so it grabs the Jones plug well. The male part. It's to clean the female end. Do you hear that rattling? Basically, there's supposed to be some foam in the back box that the glass touches just barely to keep it from rattling like that. So we need to check that out. But we're going to take the glass off here in a minute anyway. Okay, so we'll do that with the bore brush, and then we're on to this player unit. Player up unit. So there's a little spider on there that spins around. Now you notice this one's a little different than the other ones we did because it has this hose thing here, spring, the slinky. The purpose of that is because there's wires in it. Most of them just are connecting one place to another. But this one, since it's doing so much, they have the wires actually on the arm, and then it turns, and it's basically going 1 player, 2 player, 3 player, 4 player. 1 player, 2 player, 3 player, 4 player. And it's so it can change the signals to which of the point relays is active. So basically, one of these switches will be going to, it's a 10 point, so one of them will be going to this. One of the other ones will be going to this. To this. One of the other ones will be going to that. One of the other ones will be going to that. So whenever it pulls in, it normally would make all 4 scores play. But since you have this player up unit, it will have to, the power for the that feeds those 4 switches runs through here. So depending on which one it activates, it turns on one set of scores depending on which player is up. So it does the scores and some of the lighting and things like that. Very important little unit, especially if you're playing more than a 1-player game. So same as we always do, I'm just going to take this off, clean the copper traces. And you know what I clean those with? Japanese volcano rock. And on the back, there are a couple switches here that tell it when it's at home. So we'll probably have to take this a little loose so we can get to those switches. But there's not much to it. We just need to get it cleaned up where it turns well, and that will be that. Okay, so I did just what I said. I took it apart. I cleaned the plate there, contacts. I cleaned the switches. There's just 2 little nuts to hold it in. And then I put it back. And it seems like it steps up just fine now. But it kind of was earlier too, right? Position 1. Position 2. Position 1. Position 3. Position 1. Position 4. It's all good. Okay, so then I moved over here to the player unit. The credit unit. And I moved the wheel all the way around and cleaned the wheel the whole way. It was already stepping and doing its thing. And since they have that wire disconnected from the coil, it'll never step down anyway. So I did clean the switches though, because yeah, that should work just fine. You would need the switches to still work, because without those connected, you can't hit the start button. So I cleaned them, and they're connected, and everything's cool. It's just it never should get to 0, so it never should open the switch, which will take it off free play. Those switches there, when that little bar hits them and opens them, you no longer have a credit on the machine. See how that one, this one is adjusted fine. See how they're both moving? But that one is suspect. Or am I seeing the wrong thing? I might have to watch that one. One of them just does the light bulb though. On the plate, on the apron, there's a bulb here that turns on whenever you have a credit on the game. One of those switches does that, and the other one makes it so that the start button still works. So if those are open, because it's went down to 0, the little light goes off and the start button won't work. But it seems like everything's cool. Okay. So now we're up to the match units. Let me take that off and take it apart. I'll bet that's what that little hairpin clip is off of. Nope, still on there. I thought I had it. That wasn't it at all. Okay, so let me take this off the side and I'll show you kind of what's going on inside of there. So I've taken this unit all apart. I'm going to show you how it goes back together so you can see all the different components. So the first step is there is a bracket, the frame of it, I guess, and it's holding a little board. That little board will have this on it so that this can travel on the PCB with the connections over. Did what we usually did. We cleaned it up and put some synthetic grease on it. A little bit, so it'll turn good. And so now I got to clean this and put it on. Okay, so I cleaned that up and put it back in along with the plunger that's going to go into the coil up here. And so when the coil pulls in, it pulls this back and then pushes it. So it's spinning these on the other side on that board, the different contacts. This little thing is riding in a race around the edge so that it moves too. The purpose of that is it's hitting that switch on the side. We'll see more of it in a second. So next up, I got to clean the back of this, same way with the volcano rock, and also put the grease on it, and then we'll put it back on there and be a little bit further along. Looks a lot cleaner. The parts where it's nylon on nylon, I don't put anything on it. I don't think you need to grease it at all. There's a little bit of grease left where I couldn't get off, I guess, but I just leave it. Make it dry. But when it's nylon, when it's metal on metal, you want some kind of grease or something. Let's see if this is working up here, this little switch. Closed, open, closed, open, closed, open. All right, so our match unit, which they call it the 0 to 90 unit, the match unit is working very well. So we've already done all of the relays, the player up unit, the credit unit, and the 0 to 90 unit. Each company called their stuff different things because I guess they copyrighted like everything or trademarked everything or whatever. So patented everything. So each company it's called different stuff. So you have pop bumpers that are thumper bumpers that are jet bumpers. We got all kinds of names. Okay, so we've done those. You know what that means. Only thing left is all the score reels. Oh God. So I'm going to start cleaning them, and I'll show you one of them all torn apart so you can see what makes them tick around in a circle. Okay, so I pulled one of them out. Basically, you can clean the reel with wax. Works pretty good. If you clean it with water on some of the reels, depending on which era and which manufacturer it is, the black paint will come right off the reel. So be careful with that. And basically, when this pulls in, there is a end of stroke switch here that is in line with the point relay. So like if this is a 10-point reel, the 10-point relay will stay latched on until this comes all the way back. I'm trying to do it with one hand. And opens up that switch, which will kill the 10-point relay. And by that time, if you kill the 10-point relay, it's no longer pulling the this coil in. So it releases it and it goes forward. Very similar to that 0 to 90 unit we were just looking at, except this one just has a reel on it. Okay, so there are also wipers down in there that are going around on a printed circuit board like the 0 to 90 unit we were just looking at. Same kind of thing. In this era of them, it's actually even using the same, it may even be the same exact board. Looks like, no, it's slightly different, but about the same thing. Works about the same. Okay, and then you have this cam over here, which is the similar one to what was turning that switch on and off as it went. It's riding in a race on the bottom of that little gear down in there. And it's moving, so whenever you get to 4 or 5, it's operating with the top switch and the middle switch closed. So what's the point of that? It's so that the reset circuit will work if the game were to stop now. So if those switches are messed up, you can play it, but you can't reset it. And as soon as you turn the game off, it's going to go into game over mode, and you're not going to be able to reset it, so it will kill a game quick if one of those switches is misadjusted, right? And so when it gets to the top 2 are closed, the bottom one, the third one there, which you can barely see, is open. And when it gets to 9, that little cam, that little arm is going to go down and close that bottom switch. Bam! So it just closed it. So now the next time this gets pulsed, it's also going to go through and pulse the next one. because it's connected through that switch. And that's how you get a 9 to go from a 9 to a 0, and then the next reel to go from a 0 to a 1, so a 9 to go to a 10. And then once you get back to the 0 position, all three of them open. The 9 one open because it only closes on 9, and then the other two open because you're at the reset position, 0. So when it's resetting, that one opening will make it so that the score reset relay can no longer power the coil, and the other one opening will make it so that the this score reel, that switch, can no longer power the reset relay down on the bottom, like we were talking about earlier. But how does this get power if you score points? Well, it's still in line with the 10-point relay through the player unit, the player up unit. So they're just neat little things. So I've cleaned them all up. Oh, so if someone has gone through and tried to lubricate these things, you will have a huge mess on this board down under it where the wipers go. Okay, so you'd have to take this all apart and get down to that board to clean it, like we did on that one. Luckily, these weren't like that, so I didn't have to take all those off. You'll also find whenever you do that, that the first player ones will be the worst because they got the most use, and then the second player ones won't be as bad, and the third and the fourth player ones won't have much use at all on them, where they have hardly ever churned. Because basically what happens is, if you never play a three-player game or a four-player game, they just sit there on 0 their whole life. They've been stuck on 0 the whole time, and you can tell usually by looking at them where the dust is on the reels. But we got all those all cleaned up. I wanted to show you though how the high score, maybe not the high score, but how the free game works. So I was just showing you that little board. Its only purpose is for the match circuit. So this is the 10-point reel, 0 to 90 reel, and this is the 0 to 9 dummy reel. It's just a fake 0 on the front. So the first thing, you can only score increments of 10 points. They just added a dummy reel to make the score longer. But the only purpose of this board is it needs to know what this is displaying whenever it does the match at the end of the game. So the match at the end of the game, if it's turned on, let's see, do we have, yeah. Back cabinet game adjustment plugs, match feature, off or on, right? So the purpose of the match is, at the end of the game, it will light up a little number at the back that might say 30. And if your score at the end is 30 of one of the players, then you win a free game. And our buddy Brendan was asking us, can you win more than one game? So like if 3 people were on 30, would you win 3 games? And so I looked in the schematics and was telling them, yeah, you can win 4 because of the way they do it. So I'm going to show you how they, at the end of the game, the machine figures out if you matched or not, because it's brilliant. So I'll show you on the schematics real quick. Okay, so here are the schematics. Aren't they cool? And here is the credit unit step-up solenoid. Okay, so if that pulses, you get a extra credit, which is your free game. So if that pulses, it turns the wheel on the credit unit from, say it said 5, now it says 6. So you've got an extra credit. And it's one step farther along, you can hit the start button 6 times then, right? So the credit unit step-up solenoid, how does it get power? Well, one side of it is always connected to power. If you don't know about schematics, basically, it goes back to the transformer. Okay? And so if you get power to the other side of it, it pulls in and does its thing. So there's all these convoluted ways that you can get the credit unit step-up solenoid to work. It will never work, though, if this switch is open, because it's right before it. So this switch is the credit unit limit switch. If you're all the way up to 15 credits or however many that it can handle on the game, it will open this switch, and then if you do all the stuff that gives you a free credit, you won't get one because that switch is open. Okay, so you have different ways. The third coin shoot relay, the second coin shoot relay, the 10 to 12 play relay, all of those can give you a credit, right? But here's how we do our high score. I mean our match. So at the end of the game, if the match adjustment is on, if that's plugged in, then that means all of this stuff is connected to that little wire on that little plug. Okay. Now, here is the 0 to 90 unit. That's the one we took all the way apart. That turns around every time you score, I guess, 0 to 10 points. That turns, right? And so it is a way that they kind of make it random. So it just turns around, turns around, turns around. You saw those two wiper boards that we were messing with. So this is what this represents. It's connected to the other side of power. Now remember, we're trying to get this power to that side of the credit unit thing, and if we do, we will get a free game. It'll step up one. So it's connected through that 0 to 90 unit that's spinning around, and let's say it spins down to 30. Okay? And then the first player, is this the first player one, does it say? Yeah, first. The first player one. Let's say they're also on 30. Well, that means the little board on it is lined up at 30. So the power will connect from here, through this wire, through the 3, into the first player connection at the 3. And then it also might connect through the fourth, the second, the third, and the fourth player. It depends on how many are on 30 at the end of the game, right? And so power is connecting through here, and it comes up to this connection, 4A on the schematic. So that's a motor switch. And then you see this one is at 5A, this one is at 6A, and this one is at 7A. So if that switch closes and the 0 to 90 unit, which is the match unit, is lined up with the score on the first player's thing, when that switch closes and the match adjustment is on, it will send power over to the thing and bam, right? You see there's also a thing here where you can make it give you an extra ball instead. All right? And so at the end of the game, as the score motor is turning around for its last time or whatever, it's turning from its home position, which is at 0, to the next home position at 0. So the score motor, whenever it starts turning, it will start at its home position, and once it goes out of that home position, there's a switch on that cam that holds the score motor turning until it gets back to its next home position. So it will turn at least 1/2 revolution back to the other home position. And you see all of these little things show you at what order the switches close on the cams and the score motor. And you see this one is identical to this one. So there's only two, basically you do a 1/2 revolution, get you back to the home position. So the score motor starts turning, right? And it gets around to 4A. So it gets to switch 4, or cam 4, and A is just the position on the cam. So on the cam there will be maybe 5 switches on that cam. A, it just means the bottom one. C would be maybe the third one or whatever, but it just means it's on cam 4. So cam 4, they have divided the revolutions from 0 to 7. So there's 8 positions basically as the cam is turning, right? And so whenever cam 4 gets to what they call position 2, it pulses. That means if there's an open switch on that cam, it'll close at position 2. So cam 4, the first player switches on it. So when you get to position 2, that will close. And if you're all lined up, bam, it will send power through and pulse the credit step-up solenoid. But the motor keeps turning, and it falls off of that switch. So it just goes bam and closes it back, right? Bam and closes it back, gives you a credit, and then goes off. Okay? Now let's say it gets to the second player, but it's not lined up. The second player, he ended on 50 points. Well, that means the power is connected through the 3 over to the 3 on the second player's reel, on the 10-point reel, but the little wiper isn't touching the 3, it's touching the 5. So the power stops at the 3 and doesn't have any way to go through. Okay? And then the score motor keeps turning, and when it gets over here to the third player, guess what? They matched. So they're on 3. So the power is connecting through the 3 on the match unit, through the 3 on the third player thing, and it gets to position 6A on the motor, right? Or I shouldn't say position. The switch that on cam 6. So the switch on cam 6, the A switch, the B switch, the C switch, whatever, all of the switches that are on cam 6, when it gets to the 4th position, it pulses it. So you see how there's a time. It's timed. So the first player is there, bam, and then it keeps turning. And then it checks the second player, bam, it could give them one if they match. And then it checks the third player, bam, it gives them one if they match. And then it checks the 4th player, bam, it gives them one if they match. So it can literally go bam, 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 give you 4 credits in a row because it's basically strobing through them as the score motor turns. Freaking brilliant. And of course it does something similar on the player up disc on the where's the other one that I was looking at? I'd have to look out how they do it with whenever you get to your high score, how it does it, but it's a similar concept. But yeah, at the end of the game you can get 4 different free games if everybody matches because it timed it at different times. It's going through and it has 8 positions because they've determined that one position of the revolution is enough to make something pulse enough to get a good pulse out of your coil where it closes long enough to make whatever they're trying to make happen. Like for instance, the credit unit step up solenoid pulling in long enough that it makes the reel actually turn. And then it can do it again immediately after that once it gets to the next position, the next position, and the next position. So that's how the high score works. So whenever you're cleaning those little boards, that's what you're trying to get. You're trying to make sure that the connection between the wiper, which was those little metal blades, and the actual PCB is strong enough electrically that power can run through it to make it do its thing. So cool. What do you think, Matt? Isn't that so cool?
Yes, it is.
Okay, so we're going to swap the light bulbs in the back glass. It looks like they're all working still, but we're going to put new ones in so that they hopefully work longer. Check out this back glass. It's in pretty much perfect shape. There's a little bit of damage in one little spot, but all in all, very nice condition. And this is the early one with the all the dirty stuff on it. Matt's been looking it all up. Matt, you're not supposed to do that. You're supposed to ignore that it's on there. Matt was like, I wonder what the difference is. Oh, I see what it is. I see the differences.
Both of them have Hitler, though.
Yeah, they both have Hitler. They didn't take Hitler off, apparently. But look how cool these things are silkscreen, too. Look at that. Like the gray area just still illuminates, but it's not quite as translucent. Very nice shape back glass. If you were going to have a back glass in good shape, this would be a good one to have. One of the very coolest back glasses by Mr. Christensen. Okay, so I'm just going to swap the light bulbs. These ones here with the dish, those are 455 bulbs. They're getting harder to find. So people were sending me links because I was complaining about it. Matt? Okay, Matt is a computer guy.
Yes.
He's an engineer, and he may have a better idea for this. Matt, you see these bulbs that are blinking?
Yes.
Do you know how that happens?
How that happens?
How do they blink on an electromechanical machine?
Well, I don't hear any relays clicking, so it can't be that.
They have a filament that is a spring steel.
Oh, like the Christmas tree lights.
Yeah. They heat up. Oh, do Christmas tree lights work the same way?
Yeah.
That's how a blinker bulb works?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, they have same thing, yeah. So a filament heats up and opens. And then it cools down, touches back, and turns back on. So that's how they work. They stopped making them. So people were sending me links and stuff to where you can get them, but I don't think they're still making them. It's just old stock stuff, so the price is going up on them.
Right.
But they make an LED version. But that doesn't work because it's basically programmed. So you don't get a random flash.
They'd all be in sync.
They're all in sync. It sucks. Doesn't look right. So what they do is they make some that flash at a different speed, but
like a 1-speed, a 2-speed. And
yeah, but it's still, you can tell, right? This is like analog, you know, we like this. So we're thinking that the best way to handle it is to just have China make more.
Well, if you got the money to start the manufacturing for it.
I think if you got a hold of somebody on Alibaba, they just tell them what you want. They probably know what it is. I wonder why they stopped making them. But I've heard that, so the Pinball Resource still has them, but they're like $1 a bulb now. And he's running out, from what I understand.
Well, same problem I have with my old cars. That's how your flasher units work.
Oh, is it?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I didn't know that. Well, there we go. I guess $1 a bulb is not too bad yet.
Not yet.
But these other ones are like $0.10 a bulb. It's up 10 times. It's hard to, just accept that. But we'll see. Hopefully they won't run out. Maybe they're already making more of them in China. Somebody said McMaster Carr sells them too. But I think they're old stock. I don't think they're still making them.
I don't know. They make industrial stuff for a long time.
Well, we'll see. But that's why those are round like that. It's because they want the globe bulb in it, and it's basically just to show you where they should go. And they blink on their own, and they are behind the pinball machine that Elton is playing on the back glass. So we're going to leave those, but we're going to replace the other ones. And but they look like they're already all on. Oh, there's the match too. See that number up there? We'll go through and see if all the matches are working. Can you see?
A 0.
Our match is working. We'll have to see if our end of game, so the one side of it is they're making a light move to illustrate, and then the other side of it is they're making the credit thing like we were just looking at in the schematics. So pretty cool. The glass was in good enough shape. I felt comfortable wiping some of the soot off of it, so got it pretty good. Don't go crazy on it though. You don't want to damage the paint on a really nice back glass. And then I swapped all the bulbs. These come with 44s. We put 47s in them, which are about 40. They use about 40% less wattage, so they're not quite as bright. And you can tell if you change one over the other. You can't really tell on the camera here, but you can see the filament easier on the 47s because they're just not burning as bright and using quite as much power, so they don't get quite as hot. So people often ask us about that. That's what we do with the bulbs. You can do LEDs if you want. I just don't like the way they look on older machines, so I don't mess with LEDs too much. But you be sure to do it on yours if you would like to. So we're all good. I cleaned off the dummy score reels too. Everything looks cool. I found our 100,000 point over the top lights. They are right there at the top. So I went ahead and turned those on. So whenever you get over 100,000, one of those lights will light up. And we're looking pretty good. So I'm going to slide the back glass back in it, and then we'll reset it and see if everything resets and then goes back into game over mode like it's been doing. I think that's probably what it's going to do. So there are our 100,000 point lights. Wow, what a great looking back glass. So the lamps are slightly dimmer than they were before, but it looks great here in person. All right, so I'm going to hit start, and we'll see if everything resets. But what it's been doing is it'll come up, say, try to start, and then go back right back to game over. But we're going to see if all of the score reels will reset. I purposely left them all on 1 so I can see if they all reset back to 0 no matter, pretty much what score they're on. We got a couple stragglers here. Look at that one. So that one was acting up, and that second one over there. So why would it do that? I must not have one of the switches quite right. So the reason that it's still trying to reset is because those switches are still closed. The one that turns off the reset down in the bottom, but the one that keeps it power running from there through the relay isn't right. This is dangerous. Don't do this, people. So basically, I need to adjust that switch a little bit. So it went back to where it was supposed to be, and then went back into game over. So we still have the same problem that we've had the whole time. The game will not start. We can do it again. See, it just goes right into game over mode. So we got to figure that out, but I think we can. Our next video, though, we're going to work on this beautiful playfield. It's in really nice shape, with the exception of down here. There's just a little bit of damage, minor damage. Tiny little classified ads. I'm imitating Don Lepre lately, Matt. Because this thing has been screwed up. Something's going on there. So we got to figure out what the hell happened with that. So I don't know. We'll figure it out. But other than that, the playfield is in very nice shape. Look at the artwork in the middle here. So that's what we're going to work on next time. So make sure to leave your comments down below. Let us know what you think. Give us a thumbs up for taking the trouble to film it for you. I hope you enjoyed us working on the back box. Look, it turned off our 100,000 point lights. That's good. Oh, and we're at 0 now on our match. Leave your comments below. Let us know what you think. And make sure to check out my brother, Donnie. If you don't know about my brother, Donnie, he's literally my brother. And he has a channel here on YouTube where if you like watching us work on these old pinball machines, you would probably like watching us work on old buildings. We've got a couple buildings in a small town near here that we're working on, trying to help revitalize that town's downtown area. So make sure to check that out if you haven't already. We appreciate everybody hanging out with us. Leave your comments below. I'll try to answer all of the nice ones. What? What?
Only the nice ones?
Yeah. Some of these people, they watch an hour-long video, and then all they got to do is complain. They're going, yeah, you missed the light bulb. Well, yeah, okay, it'll be all right. Don't worry about it. Why do you do that, Matt? I've seen Matt on there doing that, since we're just, rambling at the end of the video anyway. See, this is what I don't get. And another thing. Look how freaking cool this thing looks. This thing's awesome, man. And you're going to watch the whole damn video and then leave a comment about something negative. This wasn't right. I mean, it's cool and all, but there's a damn light bulb. It didn't work on the 3000. I saw it one time. It didn't come on. But the next time you played it, it did. Must be a loose wire. That's all I'm saying. People, you gotta not take yourself quite so seriously. I sure as hell am not taking myself very seriously. But look at this thing. What a cool game. Great back glass, man. That's one of the best ever. I don't care. I know it's got all the dirty stuff on it. One of the best back glasses ever built, ever drawn by anybody. I think you can make a collection of Bally back glasses that's untouchable, basically. Williams did some good ones too. Gottlieb sure did some good ones, but the Bally ones, they had their own thing going. Looks great. All right, so there you go, people. I appreciate you hanging out with us and us poking fun at you a little bit. We'll see you on the next video.